I was born in Havana. I lived there until I was almost 20 years old. Back then, the government was not giving the licenses to open restaurants, so I had the dream of having my own restaurant. That's why I decided to come to the States.
I'm Chef Douglas Rodriguez. Both of my parents are immigrants from Cuba, but I was lucky enough to be born here in the United States. I have a restaurant in Miami, Florida called De Rodriguez Cuba. I also own and have a restaurant in Philadelphia called Alma de Cuba.
I always wonder, what would happen if, Cuba was open like any other country, and cooks, they had access to spices and different types of, proteins. And
food in Cuba hasn't really evolved as much as it has in the rest of the world.
Asian cuisine, Chinese, French, Spanish cuisine, they all have evolved.
I 100% think that if Cuba would have been an open country like the United States, that culinarily it would have been a lot further advanced.
Last time I was in Miami, I told him, hey chef, let's do something together and try to reimagine, Cuban cuisine.
It could be something like this.
We're calling it the new Cuban food revolution. To me, it's extremely special. One, because I'm cooking not only with my friend, but also with my mentor, probably the best, Latin chef in the United States. He was the first one that used Cuban and Latin American ingredients in fine dining cooking. He started the whole Nuevo Latino movement.
Well, me and Fernando collaborated on producing a menu doing some classic Cuban dishes with kind of like a very innovative twist.
Most of the dishes that we're doing tonight is a take on classic dishes.
With a little bit of a twist to it.
The same flavors that you find in the classic dish, but in a more presented in a modern way.
Cuban flair to it, if you will. We took like the Cuban sandwich and we put a twist on it.
Chef Douglas is doing a Cuban sandwich on a stick. We're doing a similar take on the timba sandwich. I used to eat it as a kid. I would come from school and my mom would make a guava paste and cream cheese or white cheese sandwich. We're doing foie gras instead.
Each one of the courses is actually paired with a masterly prepared cocktail. 6 different cocktails being prepared tonight.
Then we're going into a lobster and shrimp ceviche that Chef Douglas is doing.
Ceviche is a dish that takes fish or seafood and marinates it with lime juice and citrus juice and cooks the fish or the seafood with the citrus juices. And I've taken some young coconut meat and taken it out of the shell and cut it up. Young coconut meat is very tender, very soft, almost like gelatinous white coconut meat.
So it's really tender and sweet, really, really good.
And then I mixed it with coconut water, lime juice, cilantro, Thai basil, tomatoes, lightly poached lobster meat, shrimp, and then I garnished it with 2 plantain chips, which is something very classic that Cubans would eat with ceviche.
Then we're going into a take on a paella.
Like a Cuban style paella with prawns and clams.
Almost like a deconstructed paella. It's called a sopado paella.
I think it's an absolute brilliant dish. What Fernando has done.
Making a lobster emulsion. We're using a Palacio chorizo, Iberico lardo. It's like almost like a bacon, but without the meat. It's just fat, so it's really rich. So we're covering the scallops with that.
It's a very innovative preparation that he's done. Our third course today is the Palomilla style ribeye steak with bone marrow and oxtail croquettes. Palomilla is a very classic Cuban steak where they take an eye round, which is a very inexpensive cut of meat, and they slice it very thin because it's so tough. The only way to be able to chew it is to slice it thin. And then they marinate it with sour orange juice and onions and then they sear it in a hot pan and they caramelize the onions, and all the citrus juices get collected by the onions. What we've done is we've taken a very expensive cut of meat with a lot of fat in it. We've taken a Creekstone ribeye, and instead of marinating it with sour orange juice, we took the zest of the orange and zested the orange, the outside of the steak, and then we sliced it very thinly and seared the steak, and then we're serving it with roasted bone marrow and an oxtail croquette. The oxtail croquette is very classic Cuban.
And then he's doing an onion and brown butter chimichurri.
The richness of the bone marrow, the oxtail, and the ribeye together combined very well. A play on a traditional Cuban palomilla steak with a very high-end twist.
Our fourth course tonight is the duck trio. We're doing duck 3 ways. We're doing sear breast.
A duck breast, it has a beautiful guava gas streak on the plate.
Duck confit patty, and then we're doing duck prosciutto. We're doing kind of like bacon, duck bacon, really crispy. We have fried quail eggs. We're freezing the foie gras torchon, and we shave it like that raspado on top of the duck. And we're doing a take on the classic, what they call moros con gris.
Which is a very peasant Cuban dish, which is white rice and black beans cooked together. But he's taken it to another level. He's taken wild rice and lentils.
So you have the same flavors, but you know, in a presented also in a modern way.
It's French, brilliantly put together with a Cuban twist. Deliciously done. The 5th course is puerco done 2 ways. Puerco is actually the Spanish word for pork.
First you braise the pork and then you fry it so it's crispy in the outside and tender in the inside.
And then we took a piece of pork shank with the skin on and we confit it and made the skin on it very crispy, like a crackling on the outside. And then they'll have the 2 textures of pork laying on a white corn polenta flavored with manchego cheese. Fernando made a mojo powder. Mojo means to wet. And classically, the sauce is made with cooked onions and garlic, citrus juices, olive oil, and herbs. And Fernando has created a dry mojo. It tastes just like a mojo, but in a powdered form. Brilliant. It's just one of the best dishes. I can taste it right now. Our final course for tonight is a very beautiful chocolate dessert. It's the shape of a cigar.
We serve the cigar inside a Cuban cigar box.
It's a pistachio cake rolled in chocolate mousse, then dipped into chocolate ganache. It looks like a cigar with a cigar band on it.
And then we're serving that with Cuban coffee ice cream.
With an edible matchbook that's made out of pastillage candy and an edible cookie matchbook box.
We have something that is called a smoking gun. And we put the smoke gun inside the cigar box and we close it.
When you open the box, the cloud of smoke escapes. Visually gorgeous.
To me, that's one of the most creative desserts that I ever seen. So,
originality of the dessert with the Cuban cigar was really tasty.
Yeah, it's quite a creative presentation. I very much enjoyed it.
Asombroso. It's just absolutely awesome.
Increíble. Incredible.
You really can't get anything better than that.
Buen provecho. Bon appetit translates buen provecho.
the new Cuban food revolution.